everyone, my name is Dillon Gonzalez. I'm the editorial director of GeekVibesNation.com and also a co-host of the Home Dance Film Festival podcast. And welcome to a brand new episode of No Streaming Required, your weekly deep dive into all the latest and greatest in the world of physical media. We have a fantastic show for you this week. We have a lot of great stuff from the studios, including stuff from Disney, Warner Brothers, Sony. But we also stick to our boutique label roots, and we have some good stuff from Kino Lorber. And I'm going to dig into it all. But I'm going to start with one of the most highly anticipated releases of the fall. This is the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time. It is the Disney release of Deadpool and Wolverine on 4K Ultra HD. Now, I didn't get to watch this in theaters, so I was highly anticipating seeing this on physical media. I will say I am highly upset that I do not have a slipcover on my copy. I'm going to have to find some way to rectify this. Just know it is killing me inside. But I really wanted to discuss this for one specific reason is Disney has recently indicated that they intend to start including Dolby Vision on their releases, on most of their releases, hopefully, moving forward. So this is their first title with Dolby Vision. That's not a James Cameron title in years. So this has Dolby Vision. It looks fantastic. It has the Dolby Atmos audio that also sounds fantastic. It also has some special features. It has an audio commentary with the director and Ryan Reynolds. We have 4 featurettes, some marketing materials, gag reel, deleted scenes, all that good stuff. But if Disney sticks to their guns and starts including Dolby Vision on more of their releases like they have planned for the Alien Romulus, I'm going to be thrilled because while HDR10 is great, I have been feeling that there's just been a little bit something missing with the absence of Dolby Vision over the past few years. So this is a great start to hopefully what is a very exciting trend. And for one of the biggest movies of the year, it's really exciting. So buy Deadpool and Wolverine with enthusiasm because it's a really great release, and I think fans will be very pleased by the quality. Another highly anticipated 4K release, much older, is from Warner Brothers, and that is the classic horror thriller, The Hitcher. Now, this is a notable title because many of you who are physical media enthusiasts might have recently gotten this into your collection courtesy of a second sight release from overseas. So this was a loaded, fully packed with interviews, special elite packaging. There is a standard version as well, but just like I saw so many pictures flooding social media, just like these elaborate bricks that Second Sight made that were beautiful packaging of the 4K restoration that they worked on in conjunction with Warner Brothers. So that was a restoration they've been working on for a couple of years. They had teased this a while back. It's a 4K restoration of the original camera negative, and this has been a project long in development. It's finally hitting, and while many people imported that and I'm sure are very pleased with their purchases, if you are in the US and you don't care about all the bells and whistles and stuff and necessarily having the most fully fleshed out special features package, Warner Brothers is swooping in with a manufactured on demand 4K. That does not mean a burned disc, just to be clear. That just means they're made in smaller batches for their 4K releases. I'm going to be talking about a few more of those in the next few releases. But this is a kind of a no-frills 4K release that used the same 4K restoration as Second Sight. From what I've heard online and from people, seems pretty similar encoding-wise. It is so. Any differences is probably negligible. It's a very, very good encode. It looks fantastic. Fantastic restoration. Nice implementation of Dolby Vision. This does have Dolby Vision. It does have the Dolby Atmos remix track as well as the original stereo track. So technically, if you're just wanting the best audiovisual picture-wise and you don't care that much about special features, this is a great kind of more price-friendly release. You'll be saving at least $30 or so, but based on the prices I've seen. And you also do get a couple of special features on this, including a commentary track from the director and like a 40-ish minute conversation with the director that's carried over from that second site release. There's tons of more special features if you do get the second site release, but once again, you will have to be spending another $30 or so more to import that from one of our friends, says like Diabolic or Orbit or somewhere like that. They have them in stock and they look great. But if you just want the movie and they're in the US, this Hitcher 4K from Warner Brothers, it's fantastic. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Movie-wise, I think it's C. Thomas Howell and Rutger Hauer. I watched this for the first time a couple of years ago, and I didn't love it as much as people's reputation has kind of led me to think that I should. But watching this again, I gained a new appreciation for this simply because I viewed Rutger Hauer's character, who is terrorizing C. Thomas Howell's character, as more of a supernatural figure. I didn't try to keep it more grounded in reality. I just kind of viewed him as like the devil, basically, and the devil can be anywhere. So by not grounding it in reality from my perspective, I gained a bigger appreciation for this. I still think the C. Thomas Howell character makes some very stupid decisions, but it's a really fun ride, and just seeing this cat and mouse thriller where it's just seemingly insurmountable odds, it's really a lot of fun. And so this 4K did make me gain a new appreciation for the movie, and fans of the movies I think will think that it has been taken care of very well. So Warner Brothers, very nice release of The Hitcher. A new batch of manufactured on-demand 4K discs are on the horizon that are a little bit more recent than The Hitcher. These are all from the 2010s. These are all kind of more recent upgrades. And the first one is Tag. A couple months ago, we got Game Night on 4K. So I was just hoping that this one was around the corner, and luckily it was. It's a more recent comedy from the 2010s about a group of friends who have been playing the same game of tag for 30 years. And it's a lot of fun. It's over the top. It's very well shot. It's based on a true story, but embellished. Great cast: Jeremy Renner, John Hamm, Ed Helms, Hannibal Buress, Isla Fisher, Rashida Jones. So many great people that make this a lot of fun. I don't view it quite as to the level of Game Night, but it's still very hilarious, and I'm glad it got a 4K release. This does come with Dolby Vision, which the one thing I want to say is I find it pretty bizarre that the manufactured on-demand discs that Warner been pumping out, like this and Game Night and Focus and stuff, those have been including Dolby Vision, but their mainline retro releases, or archival releases, like Nightmare on Elm Street, just have HDR10. So it's just kind of weird that the releases that people don't take as seriously are given the premium presentation, and movies that people do want Dolby Vision on, they aren't given that treatment. I want all titles to look their best, but I think it's especially interesting that the mainline Warner releases that get like digital codes and all that good stuff and bigger releases, they are not typically given Dolby Vision. It's wild. But this looks very nice on 4K, DTS 5.1 sound, so that's just carried over from the Blu-ray, and all the special features from the Blu-ray are carried over, including a making-of featurette, deleted scenes, and a gag reel. So if you're a fan of the film and you just want its best presentation, this 4K of Tag will do you well. The same can be said for another Ed Helms vehicle, that is the Vacation, of the Vacation franchise, with Chevy Chase. This is the son Rusty, played by Ed Helms, trying to take his own family on vacation to kind of capture that magic of his childhood, which we've seen the original Chevy Chase movies. We know it wasn't always magical, but he is deluded and he wants to take his family on a vacation. this is not the most, not the high point of the Vacation franchise. I'll just say that. I did laugh quite a bit, but there also is a lot of groans. There's a lot of disgusting humor, and there's just a lot of humor that just doesn't land as well. And I think it's decent, but it's really, of the movies I'm talking about this episode, it's really on the lower tier for sure. I think the highlight is probably Chris Hemsworth's brief appearance. But overall, I think you need to be a more of a into kind of a stupid comedy headspace or just a diehard fan of the series in order to probably want to upgrade this. It is in Dolby Vision, looks great. DTS 5.1 sound is carried over. The making of featurettes, there's two, like a making of featurette and like a retrospective piece. There's a piece on the Georgia filming locations, deleted scenes, a gag reel. So not the strongest movie, good for a few laughs, but good presentation for the movie if you're a fan. The last of these kind of manufactured on demand 4K discs is personally my favorite, and that is The Intern from Nancy Meyer. This is a very special movie to me just because it's just the kind of movie you can throw on whenever you want to like have like a warm hug cinematically. It's Robert De Niro as like a retired man he's lost his wife. He's kind of done everything that a retired person thinks that they should do, and he still is lacking something in his life. And he sees a job posting for a senior intern at a company run by Anne Hathaway's character. He goes in and he becomes a intern at this company. While this might seem a little bit kind of like a farcical premise, this is handled with such delicate care and heart, where Robert De Niro's character brings a lot of hard-earned knowledge and experience to the workplace, and really he gains something out of being there, and he kind of helps guide a lot of the younger generation in their lives, including Anne Hathaway's having like her some problems in her marriage and trying to balance working the company, running the company and everything. But this movie just has such warmth and heart, and just it's hilarious, but it also feels nice. It's a classic Nancy Meyers movie. I like, people don't always rank it as one of her best, but I think it is one of her best. It's just such a pleasant movie, and it's not one that I ever expected to get a 4K release, but I am so glad it has. Once again, this is given Dolby Vision, looks fantastic, better than I ever thought it would look. And you do get some special features, including making a featurette and a couple other featurettes, 3 featurettes. So all those are carried over. DTS 5.1 sound. So if you're also in love with this movie, The Intern's 4K release does a nice job. Going the polar opposite of a 4K release, going to the world of DVD for a couple releases, we have the Warner Brothers set of HBO's Curb Your Enthusiasm, the complete series. Now, this is one that I do wish could get a Blu-ray release, but I am not exactly sure the benefit that would hold for all of these seasons. I know the early seasons, I think, were captured on video. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm not sure how they would upscale. But we have all 12 seasons here and 120 episodes. So you have typically 2 seasons per disc stacked on top of each other. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then the last couple here, I got to be very careful because I showed off some television sets on the last episode, and I complained that some of those discs in this similar packaging arrived like off their hubs and scuffed and everything. Luckily, I did not get that with this, so no scuffed disc, but I do have a little broken hinge down here that makes it not set completely right, but all the discs are on their hinges, and so that's a win, I guess. Don't love this packaging, but I guess it'll do for us for this shelf space. Not having 12 individual releases. So if you want shelf-friendly packaging, this has all the disc of the individual releases, all the previous special features. It is DVD quality, so it ranges from that early kind of very gritty looking presentations to the more newer last few years when it switched to HD. Those look very nice. Upscaled on DVD from like on a 4K player. It looks really nice upscaled. So maybe one day this will get a better than DVD upgrade, maybe Blu-ray, but for now this is the best we're getting, and it looks pretty good. Nice release. And so Curb Your Enthusiasm, one of the funniest HBO shows. Larry David just getting into ridiculous scenarios. He's one of the funniest. So this is a good release. If you're a fan, you can finally own the complete series on DVD. Another HBO show still airing is the second season of The Gilded Age. I talked about the first season a long time ago when it first released on DVD. This is from Julian Fellowes, who created Downton Abbey. And this is set in the U.S. and during the Gilded Age, and in the second season it continues to flourish. This season was the first one to really truly be embraced by the Emmy Academy, where we got like a Best Series nomination, and so a couple of the performers got nominated, including Carrie Coon, who's like one of my favorites. She is also a physical media enthusiast, so shout out to her. So I envy her and her husband's physical media collection. We also have people like Christine Baranski and just a lot of really good performers in here. Just doing some really interesting work. It's not as dramatic as Downton Abbey. It's a little bit more fun, but this season does interject a little bit more kind of like socio-political issues. Even though it's a class tale like Downton Abbey, this focuses much more on the higher class end of things and old money versus new money, all those types of conflicts. So this is a series that just keeps getting better. You get all 8 episodes spread across 3 discs, lots of special features, and different featurettes, and like inside the episode type things, and just explorations of the series. So if you are a fan, this is a series I think would really flourish on Blu-ray if it ever gets that release, just because it's filmed in HD, has ornate costumes and production design, all that good stuff. If this ends its run and eventually gets a Blu-ray release, I will rejoice. But for now, just having this and knowing that if HBO or Max ever removes it from its streaming service, I have access to it. That is a win for me. Heading over to Sony, we have a couple of Sony Pictures classic releases out. I really enjoyed discovering. The first is Nine Queens. This is a French movie about a couple of con men who come across each other's path. They decide to team up on this insane potential deal that involves some very rare stamps. And this is basically a story of them figuring out whether or not they can trust each other, how they are trying to scheme each other out of this like big score, and how it's like shot over or set over the course of like 2 days. And it's a really interesting, twisty kind of crime, David Mamet-esque like thriller, like kind of comedic, pithy thriller that works very well. It's quite entrancing. I really enjoy learning about these characters, learning how their minds work and how they are always trying to work the angles. It's a lot of fun. This comes from what I could surmise. There's like a text that at the beginning in French that was not subtitled on my player, but from what I could tell, it was a 4K restoration of the original camera negative. Looks very nice. And there's a theatrical trailer. There's no other special features, but looks nice, sounds good in the original French, DTS 5.1. And I think fans, if you're a fan of international cinema, definitely check out Nine Queens. It's a lot of fun. And another one for the international cinema fans is from Iran, and that is Secret Ballot. This was released in the early 2000s. I'd never heard of this before, but it was a great discovery. This is about a woman and a armed guard. She's an election official in Iran who's on this island that's kind of very sparsely populated, and she is on election day trying to go around to the island to try to convince everyone to vote in their election, and she's trying to advocate for why voting is important. And through this, you get to know a lot about the people in these communities, what is actually important to them, what how democracy is important in certain ways, but may not be as important to certain people in different ways, because not all people will have their problems fixed based on who is elected and stuff. And this movie, it does a nice job of balancing just the realities of life and the idealism of people thinking that an election can change something, especially in a country like Iran. It's really interesting, has like a kind of a sly sense of humor, but also has some dramatic moments. It's just a really engaging movie, and it really hit the spot for me. Sony has, from what I can tell, once again, done another 4K restoration. The original camera negative looks very nice. The original 5.1 audio is intact, sounds good, and this comes with the theatrical trailer. So Secret Ballot, lot of fun discovering this one. A newer international movie from France is, I don't even know how to describe this movie, but it is The Falling Star from Kino Lorber. I really love this movie. It is bizarre, but it's wonderful. If you get on its wavelength, I don't think everyone will love it, but it's definitely my jam. The basic plot of this is there is a trio of friends who work at a bar. One of them has ties to a political act that spurned violence, so he's kind of been hiding out for decades till someone figures out his identity. And in order to protect this man, he sees someone on the street who looks exactly like him. They kidnap him and like kind of force him to swap places with him. So this new person is supposed to be the one who will eventually get the hit put out on him, while this other guy hides away in seclusion. But this movie has a very interesting tone. It's very, very farcical and ridiculous. It's kind of like a Buster Keaton-esque silent film, but except you do have dialogue and stuff throughout. But it's a type of movie where people make like absurd movements at times. There's like an out-of-pocket dance sequence late in the movie that just, right in the middle of the action, people just break out into like a dance sequence, and just people miming and just doing weird body movements. I can't, like I said, it's very hard to explain, but it's a lot of fun. It's very funny and quirky, and I loved it. So this is a new movie. It just came out this year from Kino Lorber. It's great HD transfer. The original audio sounds good. No special features besides a trailer, but it's just a really fun discovery for me. So if you're into kind of weird, quirky, offbeat international cinema, The Falling Star is definitely worth your time, in my opinion. Something a little bit more historical and historically enriching is the Kino Classics release of Heidi Ho and Boarding House Blues. These are two titles from black cinema during a time where Hollywood wasn't really giving African Americans the resources to make their own movies, so they had to do kind of more independent productions, and this was kind of two of the results of that. Cab Calloway, famous musician, and Heidi Ho is kind of takes a standard musical structure where it's like a musician is trying to make his way in the music business, but there's like some duplicitous people that are trying to keep him from succeeding, and he has like the temptress of another woman, while his woman at home is trying to support him, and there's just like all the lures of fame and all that kind of good stuff. Boarding House Blues is Mom's Mabley runs a boarding house, and there's like some drama regarding whether or not it's going to be able to stay open. But this is mainly just leads to a lot of performances once again, song and dance numbers, all that kind of good stuff. Not always the most seamless production. There's some people that are obviously amateur actors that aren't given the best performances, but just as a piece of African American history and cinema, I think that these are two very interesting releases that have been preserved by the Library of Congress, given nice restorations from the 4K scans of the original negatives. Heidi Ho has several like sections that apparently the original elements just were not in good shape, and they really take a downturn in quality for little stretches. But overall, these looks really nice restored. Boarding House Blues is a little bit more consistent. The soundtracks hold up as well as they can. There's a little bit of hollowness to the audio, but overall those hold up pretty well. You do get some special features, including some introductions to these films, some additional musical shorts, and just all kinds of good stuff. Cab Calloway, he on Heidi Ho, one of his big songs was "Minnie the Moocher." He sings that like twice in this movie. But if you're interested in this kind of like cinema of the past that maybe have not been the most spotlight on it, these is an interesting release from Kino. My next release, got a couple more, is the documentary Wolfman's Got Nards, which is a documentary on the fandom around Monster Squad. I wouldn't say it's necessarily the making of, it's more so the fandom. This documentary was included as a bonus disc in the Monster Squad 4K from last year that I have covered before. So there's 3 discs in here, one of which was Wolfman's Got Nards. But this has been given a new standalone release with some special features. So we get a 5 additional featurettes that total around 40 minutes of just talents like Seth Green and stuff talking about things that aren't directly related to Monster Squad, but just they had extra footage that are included in here. They have also additional deleted scenes and like a musical performance and stuff. And this is the original was only in DTS 2.0. There is both a 5.1 and 2.0 track on this one. I wish this disc could have been in that original Monster Squad set, but for those who are fanatics of this series, this Blu-ray release is the better version if you want special features and all that good stuff. But if you're just more of a casual fan, you can get it in this Monster Squad set and get the Monster Squad 4K. That's really awesome. So up to you what your priorities are, but it's cool that this got a special features packed release. Another really cool act of preservation that I was excited to check out was the new classic Ghost set, 1970s Ghost television. So these were late night, like ABC movies from the 70s that were shot by a primarily female-driven team. And they were kind of more like spooky gothic driven tales, and you have people like you can see like Susan Sarandon here, and like Gwen Verdon and stuff, and just some lesser known people like doing these classic ghost stories of productions shot on video. So these had kind of like a soap opera-esque appearance, but these have been restored to the best of their abilities from those original elements to look the best they can. I want to make this clear that this is not like crisp HD. This is just the best kind of upscale restoration of these original video elements that can be made from these elements. So they've been meticulously restored, but if you just put these on for a normal person, they'll be like, oh, what is this? Like, this doesn't look good, because it has that kind of video soap opera effect. But for what you can see in the restoration comparison what they had to work with. This looks a lot better, and these movies are just totally out of circulation. They probably never would have been seen otherwise. So it's really cool that they were able to restore these kind of spooky ghost stories just in time for the Halloween season. They're not like the most terrifying stories, but for made-for-television fans, these are a really cool collection of TV movies, and they're pretty spooky and stuff. There's a lot of so this includes the 5 films that these include. They run about an hour to an hour and a half usually. We have The Haunting of Rosalind, The Screaming Skull, The Deadly Visitor, The House and the Brain, and The Bones Came Together. So those 5 films have been restored, and you get some special features, including some interviews with the people who helped restore it from the UCLA Film and Television Archive, all that good stuff. So this is one of the more interesting releases this year, and I think it's a really important one. My final title is one from Kino Classics, and that I wanted to end with a more kind of bigger title, and that is Cowboys and Aliens on 4K Ultra HD. So this is a Jon Favreau joint, Daniel Craig, Harrison Ford, classic Western, but with aliens thrown in. So whenever aliens take some people who are important to the town, some people have to go and try to get them back and figure out, they don't know there's aliens, they just know that there's something weird happening, and it's a pretty decent tale. I don't think it reaches its full potential as a narrative, but it's decent fun. It's just like a Daniel Craig and Harrison Ford action vehicle. If you like Westerns in general, it takes that general ethos, but with some sci-fi thrown in. It's, like I said, it's decent fun, but is it worth upgrading on 4K? It's this is your first if this is your first purchase of this title, sure, get the 4K. It's a nice release, but the reason why I hesitate, this is a 4K scan of the original camera negative, but it is a SDR release, so standard dynamic range. While I do not always poo-poo an SDR presentation, I just talked about I Walk with a Zombie last week on Criterion. This is such a newer movie that it is kind of bizarre that there's not a high dynamic range option, and the audio is also not improved. There's just the DTS 5.1 original audio. And does this look better than the original Universal Blu-ray? Yes, it is finessed. It looks better, but upgrade better? It's kind of hard to say. This also might be a deal breaker, but the theatrical cut is the one that made the 4K cut. The unrated cut is only on Blu-ray. That is on the other disc. But along with all the special features, including a commentary track on both discs, but you do get 80 minutes worth of conversation with Jon Favreau and various people from the cast, and another 48-minute making of featurette. So the movie is fine. It's pretty fun. The 4K is good, but it's not as good as I think people think it should be. It was originally announced with like Dolby Vision and everything, and then apparently elements, like things came up, and Kino tweeted out that it was gonna have to be an SDR release. So it's kind of murky what exactly happened. But we get a release that is just kind of underwhelming, I think, for people who own this already. There are no new special features to make this a better proposition, so it's basically, if you're coming to this the first time, get the 4K. It's good. But otherwise, maybe just hold on to your Universal Blu-ray if you have it, and just maybe someone overseas will be able to release it with high dynamic range and stuff someday. Who knows? But overall, fine release, but it's just one of the weaker Kino 4K releases in terms of excitement versus like expectations versus delivery. But overall, a pretty interesting assortment of titles this week. Some big action spectacles, some things that people probably never expect to make it onto high definition. So I really appreciate you tuning in. Let me know what you're interested in checking out. Make sure to leave that in the comments. Let me know what you want me to talk about in the future. Have another exciting episode coming up next week. Share this with anyone you think will like it. Make sure you're subscribed to the Geek Vibes Nation YouTube channel. I will be doing this again next week. But until next time, enjoy these movies.